And welcome to Filmmaking Today. I'm your host, Bojan Dulabic. So in this episode, I'm going to talk about something I started in the last one, which is how to use an external battery with your Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera. Now, there are tons of solutions for this problem. As you know, I keep saying it, but you need to know that the battery that comes with the Blackmagic is just horrible. It's gonna last you 30-40 minutes. From my experience, it was more like 20-30, but so you need an external battery pack. You need something. Now, there's solutions ranging from $20 all the way to $200-300 and probably more. So it depends how much you're willing to spend. Now, I spent about $25 on eBay and got this battery. It's a no-name battery from China. It's a CCTV battery, and it works fine. Now, this one has 3 inputs. As long as it's got 12 volt, you can use any battery on the Blackmagic. Do your due diligence. Make sure that this is 12 volt, whatever you're using, whether it's this one or whatever it is, because otherwise you could destroy the camera, and that's never a good thing. So I'm going to talk about how I integrate this battery into my workflow. So it's essentially, so far shooting my feature film project Eugenics, and I finished day 6. We're starting day 7 and 8 in January. So from my experience, so far I've used 3 different kinds of setups. One is using my camera rig, so whether it's on my shoulder, going handheld, or on my tripod. The other one is using my slider. And then the third one is just using the camera by itself. So here's what I did to incorporate this external battery in all of these 3 scenarios. So let's start with the actual camera rig. So this is part of the rig, anyway, that I use. So, you got my follow focus here. This is obviously where my camera goes. And I got this little area down here, so this mounts to my tripod. And so I figured, well, this is actually perfect for this little thing, and it fits perfectly. Right there, right? So what I did is I got some industrial Velcro. Just get it at Home Depot or whatever hardware you have in your area available. Just make sure it's industrial strength Velcro. So I taped it down here, and then I taped it to the back of this guy. And when you put it in there, it is strong. This does not go anywhere. See? No problems there. So that's number 1 solution. Actually, the problem is getting it off, which, So that works nicely. Whether I go handheld or whether I use it on my tripod, this works nicely. Now, when I'm using a slider, the problem there is there's really no way for me to mount this battery onto the slider because it's obviously moving and all that stuff. So what I do in that case, I literally just hold it in my hand as I'm moving the slider. Not the best solution, but you know what? It's worked so far. I think it'll work for you as well. So the third thing, which is very interesting that I found, what you can do with the Blackmagic. So if you are in a situation where you're just using the camera by itself, whether it's just time or it's very tight spaces and you just don't have the luxury of even having a shoulder support, which I haven't been in those situations on this movie. Very simple solution to use this battery without actually having to use both hands. So number 1, for your Blackmagic, you got to get this little hot shoe thing up here, which you can get on eBay. It's I think this cost me, I'm not sure, about $5-10 or so. But it works well. So you screw that in there. Number 2, you have to get this little cell phone holder. So it's it's technically for cell phones, so you can mount them on a tripod if you want to take video with it. So you get that thing, which again, it's another $5-10, and you get this little I don't know what to call it. It's this little, I guess, a hot shoe kind of thing. The cell phone thing has a 1/4 inch hole, and this has a 1/4 inch screw, so you put that in there. And this is actually for the hot shoe on the camera. So you put this up here, you tighten it, boom. And yes, you guessed it. You take the battery, and let me just get this straight here. You put it on there, and boom. There's a very simple way to mount the camera, and then all you need is just the cable, which I'll talk about in a second because you need to do a little work on that one. So you plug the cable into the battery, you plug it into the camera, and bada bang bada boom, you got one piece which you can use. The good thing about having this is you can hold the camera like this. You just hold the battery, and that way you get a little stabilization going on because you're holding it like this, and when you move it, it's actually not bad. And I've used this for scenes, and it does not get too shaky. It's actually, it works pretty well. So keep that in mind. Now let's talk about the actual battery itself. So when you buy it, and I'll try to find a link and I'll include it in the notes. Last time I checked, the link for this one didn't work anymore, but if you just do a search for CCTV battery on eBay or something like that, you'll see tons of these things. So when I bought it, this obviously came with it, and then a bunch of cables came with it, like this one and this one here. Problem is, none of these work for the Blackmagic. So what I had to do, I had to get a separate cable, and I did 2 orders. So one was getting this cable, which is actually pre-cut. So this goes into the Blackmagic. You get 5 of them. So I'm using one of them. And then on the other end, it's already cut. And then the second order would be this little thing. So you just make sure you connect these 2 up. Make sure positive goes to positive, negative goes to negative. Don't mess those up. Make sure you do your research and all that stuff. And then this is what you get right here. So all I did is I used some electrical tape on this side to make sure that the wires aren't exposed. And this works fine. You know, it's not long, which you don't want, unless, well, I guess it depends. In my case, I didn't want too long, but if you're gonna have the battery somewhere further away, you might want to look for a longer cable, right? So this is not very long here. And, you know, you get that. And like I said, this thing works fine. So here's the thing. The first time I tried it out, I just had my camera hooked up to it and I let the camera run. I wasn't even recording, it was just running. And I got 5 hours out of it. But once you start recording, it obviously goes down. So if you just plug it in and you use it, you should be able to get 4 hours out of it. However, here's the problem, and this is what I did. When I started shooting my movie the first day or 2, I would just use the camera the way it is for, let's say, the slider shots and all that stuff. So obviously my battery would go down, you know, it would start at 100 and then it would go down to 10%. Then I would start charging it, and then I would unplug it again and go back and forth. And that obviously drains this battery as well. So I got maybe, I don't know how long exactly, but it certainly wasn't 4 hours, maybe 3 hours out of it. So I wouldn't recommend doing that. Don't keep charging this one because that's going to drain this one and, you know, all that stuff. So that was just my experience. Maybe yours differs, but, you know, so ever since I started using this one, you know, without going back and forth plugging it in, I do get more out of it. Now, I have heard negative things about, you know, this particular thing. So I haven't had any bad experiences, but do your research. Don't just watch my video, watch others. So, you know, I'm not going to be like, you should get this. This is just what I'm using. So do your research, right? And the only other pain about this, and I mentioned this in the last video, is that it takes 14 hours to charge the sucker. And there's no indication whether it's full or not. Now, and I don't know if this is just this model, when you get the cable that comes with it, it does have a red and a green LED light. Now, when you plug it in, first of all, the way it works, when you plug it in here, you have to make sure it's on. This is on, and that's how it charges. And then in theory, this should, you know, the green should light up when it's full. But in my case, it's always lit. It always lights up, right? So I know it takes 14 hours because I've watched other videos. So I just wait 14 hours and then I unplug it. So I don't know if that's just this model or, you know, that's just how it is. And also, there's no indication in terms of where you are in terms of power in the sucker. It just stops working when there's no power in it. So that sucks as well, right? So, but again, it was $25, so keep that in mind. I have seen actually others, and I'm looking into getting a different battery, which is about $45 or so. Again, not that much more, and that one has an indicator and all that stuff. So I might get that one, and then I'll do a video on that as well. But if you are on a budget, this will work. Like I said, it's been working for me fine. So, you know, just keep all these things in mind. So that's it for this episode. I'll do more of these videos talking about the different gadgets that I use for my film and all that stuff. Follow me on all the social media platforms. Just type in my name, Bojan Dulabic, or type in Project Eugenics if you want to follow my movie. We are getting very close to finishing it up, and then it's, you know, post-production time and all that stuff. Release date will be later in 2015, closer to the end of 2015. So please like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to my blog, filmmakingtoday.com, and follow me on, like I said, wherever you can find me. Okay, thanks guys.